In this video, we're going to talk about the textile industry and the birth of the first factories. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then come with me and let's get to it. Okay, so before the Industrial Revolution, textiles were produced on a small scale, either by hand or in a cottage industry. That means families would spin and weave cloth in their homes using hand-powered spinning wheels and looms. But all that changed during the Industrial Revolution, when new machines powered by moving water, and later, steam power began to produce textiles way faster than they could by hand. And where did this start? Well, Britain in the late 1700s. That's where the Industrial Revolution started. And it was there that a man named Richard Arkwright, along with other inventors like James Hargreaves and Samuel Crompton, set out to mechanize every step of the textile process. First, there was the spinning jenny, invented by Hargreaves in 1764. This machine used a simple pulley system and a hand crank to spin many threads at once, which sped up the production of yarn. Next came the water frame, also called the spinning frame, which was invented in 1769. It was powered by moving water and it produced stronger thread, which was perfect for making things like denim. Then in 1779, Samuel Crompton combined the two, creating a machine that used water power to spin many threads at once. It was called the spinning mule. But there was still one more machine that needed to be invented. In order to finish the process, there had to be a way to weave all this new textile. And that came with the power loom in 1785. It took years to perfect, but eventually it was able to weave plain patterns into cloth at a rate of 2,000 picks per minute. So these inventions were great, but they weren't quite factories yet. To really become factories, all these machines needed to be brought together in one place, along with the labor to run them. And that meant that, instead of being scattered among homes and small workshops, textile production was centralized. That's how the factory system was born. The first textile factory was built by Arkwright in 1771. He wanted to have complete control over his product in the process of making it, so he built his factory by a river in a rural village in central England. There he could take advantage of the power of moving water to run his machines. His workers were mostly young women who lived in boarding houses near the factory, and the first thing he produced was a very plain and very strong cotton fabric that was perfect for use in the sailcloth for ships. Soon, though, he and other factory owners branched out into other textiles like linen and wool, as well as fancier fabrics with different weaves and patterns. But it wasn't just the products that were mass-produced. The factories themselves were copied all over Britain and eventually all over the world. But what kind of work was it like inside these first factories? Well, not great to be honest. Workers, most of them women and children, worked long hours for low wages in unsafe conditions. There was a lot of dangerous machinery and toxic materials and little to no government oversight. Another downside was that it drew the workforce away from the land. Before this, most people worked as farmers or in other rural industries. But now people had to move into towns and cities to work in the factories. Still, life was better for some than others. Many factory owners became very rich, like Richard Arkwright, who went from working as a poor farmer to being one of the wealthiest men in Britain. And that's because he had found a way to make textiles faster, cheaper, and better than anyone else. And that gave him the ability to produce huge quantities of goods that were in demand around the world. And that brings us to the next big thing that came out of the textile industry, and that was the global ripple effect. Because of the high demand for cotton for the new textile factories, the production of cotton spread around the world, and it became very profitable to grow cotton in colonies or areas that were controlled by European powers. And that meant that the Industrial Revolution helped to create vast colonial supply chains that brought raw materials from all over the world too. Factories in Europe and America. Anyway, there you have it. Those are the basics of the textile industry and the birth of the first factories. If you want to learn more about this topic, check out the additional resources